Welcome, everyone. Today's conversation is not about weakness. It's about courage. It's about the quiet battles men fight behind success. Yes, behind leadership and behind responsibility. Welcome. Welcome to the Resilient Power TV show, a space where we speak the truths that are often left unspoken, and where resilience is not performance, but human. Across cultures, professions, and generations, men are taught to endure in silence, to provide, to protect, to push through. Yet, too often, that silence becomes a burden, one that leads to isolation, burnout, and depression. Today we are honored to welcome Ambassador Raleigh Chiwuta, a leader, an advocate, and a man who was chosen over hiding and healing over silence. And that's important. He is an author, poet, and peace advocate. Born in Zimbabwe in 1984, just after independence, Raleigh was immediately captivated in his early years by the socioeconomic, political, and racial dynamics of the world. Now, this dilemma in the social fabric has influenced his life, his thinking, and his pursuit through writing and advocacy to stand for a world that works for everyone. I love that. In this way, one of Raleigh's core beliefs is that somehow, yes, one day, humanity finds a path to peace and the ability to create a sustainable world for all. Raleigh has two beautiful children that he loves and is very much a family man. Raleigh, thank you so much, Ambassador Raleigh. Thank you so much for being here, not just as an ambassador or a leader, but more importantly, as a human being willing to speak truth for other men who may not yet have the words. Now, before we talk about the struggle, it's important to honor the whole man. So many people know you through your leadership, exceptional leadership, by the way, advocacy, and service. But rarely do we pause to ask who the person is beneath the notes. Now, Raleigh, Ambassador Raleigh, when you strip away titles, responsibilities, and expectations, how do you describe who you are at your core, sir? Welcome to the Resilient Power TV show.
Thank you so much. That was resounding, but in a way it was very grounded, and I love that. So thank you so much, Ambassador Saskia.
Most welcome.
Thank you so much. Happy New Year. Happy New Year, everyone.
Happy New Year, yes.
Indeed. How would I describe myself? I think at the core, I'm just a very simple person. You know, I don't really ask for much, and I don't expect much. I just want to be happy. I love laughing. You know, I think that
important.
Yeah, I think that when life is stripped down, it's very simple. You know, we expect very should have a comfortable place to sleep, some joy and happiness, and surrounded by some loved ones we can trust. And those are the things that I think define me, and the things that I care about the most in the world. And yeah, so fundamentally, that's who I am. And then again, as you said about my children, that's why I love them so much, because they send to me whenever I see them or I'm with them. I just remember what's important, you know. And so, yeah.
Yes, and they're beautiful kiddos. I've seen them myself.
Yeah, they are amazing.
Yes. So, what values really, sir, guide you how you show up in this world?
What values guide me?
Yes.
It's an excellent question. And every time I've been on a few podcasts now, so what they've have allowed me is to actually reflect. So the values that guide me are fundamental ethics, the distinction between right and wrong, being good to other people, having a responsibility that extends beyond just yourself. And I get that from my parents and my family life and how that has been constructed. So if I was to really analyze the values that define who I am, it's that, and that life doesn't stop where I stop. In fact, it unfolds and unfolds and unfolds and unfolds. And so who I am and who I'm being has ramifications, and they're not just now, like forever. And so that's that really. Mm.
Absolutely right, because you're building a legacy.
Yeah,
And so
yeah,
that will speak
absolutely.
for itself
Yeah.
when you're gone. So
Mm.
excellent
Mm.
answer. So tell me, tell the audience out here today, who shaped the man you are today, Ambassador?
Yeah. Yeah, so that just ties in with the previous question.
Yes,
You know, so as we've already established, I'm a writer. It's something that I distinguish later on in life, but I've been writing all my life. And so, and part of being a writer, especially a poet, especially an observational poet like I am, is just being analyzing and silently observing life, consciously and subconsciously. And
mm-hmm.
so, when I see my parents, I see how I'm an absolute model of both of them in
Wonderful,
different, yeah, in differing ways.
wonderful.
So without a shadow of a doubt, who I am,
Mhm.
what I aspire to be,
Yes,
is absolutely grounded in who they have been in my life throughout, and I'm blessed to still have them, and long may it last. So yeah, thank God.
wonderful. So we pay homage to your parents for doing a
Yeah.
phenomenal job in terms of raising you to be that
Mm.
exceptional gentleman that you are today. And
I try my best.
so, yes, and exactly, and that shows
Yeah.
the strength that you have within you to show
Mm.
up in confidence and really just give voice to a topic that's mostly, most men actually shy away from,
Yeah.
right? So thank you. That speaks for itself.
Thank you.
So
Thanks
yes,
so much.
so men are often conditioned early, sometimes subtly, sometimes explicitly, around
Mm.
what strength should look like. I'm sure
Mm.
you agree with that. Now,
Mm.
growing up, what messages did you, Ambassador, receive about masculinity,
Mm.
strength, and emotional expression? And how did those messages shape you?
Mm. Yeah, interestingly enough, in your preemptive question there, you said what strength looks like. I
Yes,
think it goes even a step further because we are conditioned to believe what strength is, you know? And so if you're not reflecting those things, then you're not strong, you know?
yes,
And I'm going to say this, as truthfully and as directly as it is. I have three brothers, so our household just as boys, you know. And so one of the classic things that my dad or my parents say is that we were raising boys, so we didn't want to make you soft, you know. So you can imagine what that meant and what that looked like in
Mhm.
in 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 various and all kinds of ways. So, I
I
mean,
hear you. I hear you. I hear you.
yeah, and the thing about it is, it's a bit of there's a tragedy about it, but there's a beauty at the same time because I'm a sensitive human being, right? And I don't think that there's anything wrong with being sensitive, Being in touch with your emotions is what makes you human. You know, that's where we get our empathy and sympathy and understanding and kindness and all of those things.
Yes.
And if you numb those feelings, then who do you become, you know? So, but the idea was, you know, to show your feelings, to be emotional, to cry is a sign of weakness, you know,
Mhm.
amongst many other things that you can imagine. And so I personally feel that inside of that environment, with my high level of sensitivity, you know, I'm a highly sensitive human being. And
Yes.
that's why, again, it leads to the fact that I'm such a stand for peace because being sensitive like that makes you care about other people's pain, you
Yes.
see? Um, but what it meant for me growing up was I wasn't raised with the kind of sensitivity that a sensitive boy would want, you know, just because of those beliefs and those ideas about how you raise a boy, what masculinity is. And, you know, by all accounts, I would feel that it affected me in ways that could have been different,
Mhm.
had an impact for sure. You know, I'm not going to run away from that. And
Mhm.
it's part of why I want to and do advocate in this way. You know, I hug my son, absolutely. I
Yeah.
want to show him all of the affection that I can, you
Mhm.
know, whilst I still can. I I kiss him on the cheek, I kiss him on the forehead. I want him to know abundantly that his father loves him.
Oh yeah.
And I feel that gives him a strength and a reassurance, a
Mhm.
male strength and reassurance, which
Mhm.
is way more fundamental and powerful than I would say I had. You know, my lack of that soft love, if you wish, for me, I feel made me quite insecure. I felt unloved sometimes. You
Mhm.
know, I felt unwanted because a part of how I was constituted wanted that. You know, some people might become, maybe more aggressive or whichever way. I don't know. I can only speak for myself that
Yes.
because I didn't get that soft love, if you wish, that
Mhm.
kind reinforcement. Not that there wasn't kindness, don't get me
Yes.
wrong,
100%.
but
Yep.
yeah, if I was a girl, I would have been treated differently than if I was a boy. You see? It's
Yes.
like,
I
yeah,
completely
and
understand.
that's the point I'm making. It's a very subtle thing. You said it so well at the beginning, that some of this reinforcement is subtle and some
Yes.
of it is overt. You see? And
Mhm.
then when men grow up and they become what they become, and then now we start talking about toxic masculinity and all of this. I was like, well, you kind of read into them, you know, if you
Mhm.
teach people not to connect with their feelings. I mean,
Yes.
emotions are powerful,
Oh,
powerful, powerful things, and they
yes.
need to be dealt with. Otherwise, they come
Yeah.
out in ways we don't like, you know?
Yeah.
So,
I need to be emotionally grounded as well.
yeah, yeah.
So excellent, excellent response. So if we could just dive in a little bit into men and mental health, the reason why we're here. So globally, right?
Yeah,
Globally, men are less likely to seek mental health support, yet
mhm,
more likely to suffer in silence,
absolutely. Yeah.
right? And we all know that the cost of that silence is immense.
Yeah.
Now, from your perspective, Ambassador,
Mhm.
why do you think men struggle to so deeply, sorry, to talk about their mental health, even when they're suffering? And
Yeah.
I have a husband, I have a son, and my dad
Mhm.
suffered from mental health, had mental health struggles. So I'm
Mhm.
very much close to this. And I
Yeah.
really would like to have your help and that enlightening as to what's going on there. So,
Indeed. And no, I mean, thank you so much. And, you know, first of all, I really want to thank you because what you're providing for me right now is an ambition that I've had for a long time to speak about these issues. And
yeah,
I hope that one day I'll get the chance, you know,
yes,
on a platform. or even on a global platform or any platform. And so thank you, because it's very much the first time that, I get to speak about this. I hope I can I can compose myself
Right
because
here anytime
yeah, thank you.
on this subject. So
Um,
yeah.
so to answer your question, I mean, I can speak on that for days because I went through it, I really did. Unfortunately for me, I had to face mental health, not as a choice, but because I went into a crisis, you
Okay.
know.
Yeah.
Mm. Yeah, so it required intervention, outside of my control or my will.
Yeah.
And so to the point where
Why men
um
struggle so deeply to talk. Yeah.
yeah, to the
Mm.
point where I almost took my life. I think it's about maybe three years ago. But to your point, about men, it's you know, it goes back to what we've already been talking about. When you're a woman, your emotions, your feelings are given space. And they're not only given space, they're given a sensitive space, you know,
Correct.
not
Correct.
not no, not just by other women, but by men, by
Society and
society,
generation. Mm-hmm.
you know. If a woman's in pain, if a woman's suffering, if a woman's crying, everyone stops, it's different. But if a man is suffering, even I'm laughing. If a
Yeah.
man's crying, people look at you and they're pull it together.
What they see is weakness. They don't see anything else
Yeah,
beyond.
they see weakness and even trying to open up about it. I mean, imagine a scenario. Let's use this as an example. I go out for a drink, let's say, with my friends to the pub. And when I'm in the pub and I say, guys, life's really tough at home. My wife is beating me up. I'm probably going to get laughed at. Um, but if let's change that. And now let's imagine it's a woman and she opens up about that, to her friends and says my partner is beating me up. It's a different universe. And so that is the same phenomenon across the board. Because what leads to mental health, what leads to suffering, what leads to someone being in emotional turmoil, it's many different things.
Oh
But
yeah.
what it is how you are received if you try and open up. Some things are very personal. So perhaps, I might not want to say because, it relates to people and things like that. And you have to be respectful if you're opening up in a sensitive way. But what I can definitely say that when I try to open up about, I went through depression for 7 to 8 years, and I'm talking clinical depression. Not like I'm sad, like clinical depression that required medication, anxiety. Yeah, still, I wasn't giving up, so it's not like I just packed it all in. Still going to work, still having to be a father inside of all of that, and trying to keep life going.
Functioning.
Uh, Marriage breaking up in the end, bankruptcy, all of those kind of things. A massive, massive impact because to stay on top of life requires so much energy. And
Yeah.
a lot of that is also mental energy,
Oh,
you know,
mhm.
and emotional energy.
Yes.
So if your whole system is under pressure
Mm-hmm.
and you're not getting support with that, or then it's that's why men commit suicide, at a higher rate.
Rates.
It's yeah, and so I really think that listen, I know that they are drives and but I really see myself one day being someone who takes this conversation to a global. This is already doing it, yes, but I want to be known for 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 yes, mental health advocacy, but men's mental health advocacy because you know men are needed in the world. Good men are needed in the world. And so we have to get at the root at men's issues as well, you know? And it's important, you know?
Good
You know,
call.
I'm very happy to be corrected if I'm wrong, but I feel that the narrative against men has gone quite negative.
Mm.
I can absolutely assure you that, you know,
Yeah.
no one's perfect, but you know,
Mhm.
we are humans too. And a lot of us want to do the right thing. A lot of us want to do good, you know? And I think that that also needs to start to be part of the conversation, if that makes
Yes.
sense. Yeah.
Yes. 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 That's right. Wow. That was profound. And I am so glad that you got to experience your healing journey
Mm.
after that clinical depression.
Yeah.
So that's nowhere close to an easy thing to deal with, especially
Yeah.
as a gentleman. And so I
Mm.
commend you for the effort and for sticking
Mm.
it through,
Mm.
being
Yeah.
a resilient soul.
Thank you. And you know, I really want to say something here
Hmm.
to anyone out there, you know, whoever you are, you know, you really have to lean into the people who want to help. I didn't get through this by myself, I can assure you.
That's
I
correct.
am the lucky beneficiary of the love of the most incredible and dedicated parents
So glad you have that.
and and wider family at large.
Yes.
So don't deny help, and you know, even the medical help that's available. Because
Yeah.
sometimes I think people get skeptical about medicine,
Hmm.
you know, and also be your own advocate
Correct.
and be part of the healing process
Hmm.
and the decision making. You know,
Absolutely.
you have to want to get better.
Yes.
Mm.
Yes. Tailored, evidence-based methodology for trauma healing. That's very important. It's not
Mm.
one size fits all. Never was.
Yeah,
You don't compare your progress with someone else's progress.
yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah.
so
It's
I
a journey.
hope it's a journey, and I'm
It's
hoping
a journey.
that the audience is listening to these words very keenly. Ambassador Raleigh's experienced, and he's authentic, and he's putting it all out there. Don't be afraid to advocate for your mental health as a gentleman.
Mm,
The world needs you. We
mm,
need you.
mm.
It's quite okay
And
to say that you're not okay.
absolutely. And you know, it's incredible you say that because the day I decided I got that I wasn't okay
Yeah,
is the day my journey started of healing because I had been dealing with suicidal thoughts every day. You know, when you wake up in the morning and you think, ah, I woke up again, you know,
it's a
imagine that
burden. Yeah,
every single morning. And then, and this is how I found God for myself because I woke up and I had this new, renewed vigor to live. And it shocked me in the morning. You know, nothing had changed. I took my medication as usual the night before and everything. But when I woke up in the morning, I wanted to live. My depression was still there, but I wanted to live. And I went up the stairs. I went back to mother and I said to my mother, Mom, I'm not okay. And yeah, and the rest is history from then on.
wow.
Mhm.
Supportive system is
Yeah.
very, very important. It
Mm,
saves lives. Like
mm,
I always say, just reach out to trauma informed professionals, trauma informed coaches, and resilient coaches like myself, certified therapists,
mm,
psychologists, all there, all our resources there to help you. There's no shame in this game.
No.
Come into your life.
Mm.
This is a matter of life and death.
It is.
And we would like you to choose life and be here with us. Everyone, that goes for everyone who is hearing this session today with Ambassador Raleigh.
Mm.
This is his
And I just wanted to say everything you're saying just prompts something for me, because it takes so much courage to actually ask for help. Because what asking for help means is that you now actually have to start facing all of your issues, all of the debts that have accumulated, the weight that you've gained, the apathy that you now have about life, the fact that you're now disconnected and isolated from everyone that you knew, no friends, and all of that. You have to basically reinvent yourself.
Oh, yeah.
And that takes something, that takes that is, and that's why you see in the end when people take their lives, it's because they can't see a way out. It's the mountain has become too high to climb, and even the thought of starting, day is impossible. And that's what asking for help means. Asking for help means all of these problems, or however you see them, I'm going to find a way out. You see? And that's why it's the most courageous thing you can do. But people are there. I tell you, they're there. They're everywhere, you know? And so that's really the message,
Yes, yes.
Mm.
Excellent, excellent. I couldn't have expressed that better. And coming from a gentleman in the most eloquent manner, most authentic manner. Thank you for that. So now what fears, just to follow up to that question, what fears come up from men, Raleigh, when vulnerability is mentioned in your mind?
Well, it's again goes back to what we are told masculinity is, conventionally. And
Yes.
so that version of masculinity and vulnerability, they're incompatible, you know? It's like right now, I'm crying. So, but then you hear people say, "Oh, I haven't cried in 10 years." As if that's a badge of honor.
Achievement or something, yes, badge of honor.
You see? And that's my point. So you can imagine what the psychology is behind that. That's how what being a man is seen as. And so then you can imagine the impact it has on being vulnerable. You see?
Mhm.
And expressing your vulnerability,
Oh,
you
yeah.
know? And I mean it it's so broad.
Mhm.
It's I mean, we could talk about this for, I know we have an hour. It's such a massive concept. We need to like fundamentally redefine not just what it means to be a man, but what it means to be human beings. Because you have to remember, part of this is also an evolutionary, or at least a phenomenon we've inherited from the past, because predominantly wars have been fought by men, right? They're the ones who've had to go out there and do the killing and do the brutalizing and all of this kind of thing. So you couldn't go out there with the sensitivity that you're
Yeah.
supposed to have, living a civilian life. You
Yeah.
know, how are you going to murder and kill and put your emotions aside that you're killing another human being, and that empathy and all of that? So then masculinity and bravery are defined in those terms. You
Yes.
see? So really what it means is that we have the mentality of a warring people, right? Because that's it's under those terms that that kind of masculinity, is given praise, because that's strength. But
Yep.
no, 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 no. if you redefine what it means to be human, then you can redefine a new kind of male masculinity or and things like that. A masculinity that's let's say a bit more sensitive, a bit more compassionate,
Yeah,
a bit more introspective and caring. I can absolutely guarantee you I'm not a weak man, you know? I'm probably the last person you want to cross, because
yeah,
I have fundamental principles and beliefs.
correct.
It's just that I don't believe in violence,
Yeah.
but that doesn't mean I'm weak.
Oh,
And
yeah.
if there was an issue, we're gonna sort it out.
Mm-hmm.
But we fortunately we live in a place where we can follow civilian routes. You
Mm-hmm.
see, and so my vulnerability and sensitivity is definitely not weakness, but I think it can definitely be misunderstood for that in a society that sees those traits as weakness, you know? And that's why I stand for peace, because ultimately, if we were to advocate and articulate a different kind of strength and resilience, as you're saying, and as you stand for, then, perhaps you start to redefine a new humanity, and peace comes out in a different way, you know? So,
Absolutely. So, just to dive further into this, many men are functional, like you said, on the outside, right? Working, leading, providing, while internally they're unraveling.
mhm.
Now, what are some of the signs of depression in men that often go unnoticed or misunderstood?
I mean, that's very difficult, but one of the obvious things is obviously alcoholism, you
Mm-hmm.
know? One way that it can deal with pressure is numbing it,
Numbing it.
you
Mm-hmm.
know? And alcohol is definitely, I would say, because it's legal, first of all.
Mm-hmm.
So if you were drinking, you're not really going to be under the pressure from the law, you see? And
Mm-hmm.
so it's a massive route for a lot of people. But but again, it just goes back to that point. We keep revisiting the same point. You're meant to look strong. You're meant to look strong. You're meant to look strong. So it's hard to see the signs because
Oh,
people are not going to be presenting them. Because on the surface, you have to look like you're in control.
yeah.
You know,
Send your
so
representative. Yeah.
yeah, you're putting on a show.
Mm-hmm.
You're absolutely putting on a show, and one day you just hear, "Oh, he was found in the woods." So yeah.
Yeah. All right.
It's very difficult because the whole model is built around not talking about your feelings.
Mm-hmm.
You see, so,
Yeah.
so-
Yep.
and that's why it's a problem. That's why it's
Mm-hmm.
a problem. You know,
Yep.
it absolutely is. It absolutely is. You know.
Counterproductive in terms of
Yeah.
combating the stress,
Yeah.
the pain that
Mm.
one is going through.
Yeah.
When we dive
And
into,
and
yeah, go ahead.
no, I was just going to say, and the thing about stress is like it's it's a bit like a pressure cooker, isn't it?
Oh
It,
yeah.
it just it just keeps mounting and mounting and mounting. And so unless you switch off that pressure or release it,
Mm-hmm.
then you see,
Yep.
it's inevitable.
Of
It's
course.
inevitable. It's a system. It's just a system. All of you metabolically, you're releasing all of the chemicals that are linked to stress.
Mm-hmm.
Emotionally, you're not dealing with it. Mentally, you're clogging your mind. I mean, it's just an inevitable,
Yep.
vicious cycle. You
Of
know,
course.
so
Yes. And thank you
mm,
for expressing that so well.
mm,
And depression, if we can just go into depression and lived experience a little further. So, Raleigh, I want to approach this next part with care and respect. Now, sharing personal experiences with depression takes a lot of courage, which you know, right? And it also gives permission to others who may feel alone. all those gentlemen out there who are hearing us today. It's giving them permission. Now, if you feel comfortable sharing, can you talk about your own experience with depression when it first showed up in your life and what that season looked like for you specifically?
Mm. Yeah, listen, I'll do my best, okay? Because like typically, I guess I'm just like every other man. I don't talk about these things every day, so
Of
so,
course,
so
understand.
this is actually proving to be more of a forensic analysis than I would have thought. But I mean, I knew obviously what we're talking about, but
Yeah.
so to answer your question, Saskia,
Yes.
as the introduction said there, I'm someone who always thought about the dynamics of the world, the injustice, and even from an early age. So I
Mhm.
always had a bit of a love-hate relationship with life, but my life was good, like I was raised comfortably, call it a middle-class life, good education,
Yeah.
good parents, never went hungry, you know, and it was somewhere comfortable to sleep, but I just had an irritation about being alive because it just seems so unfair and unenjoyable sometimes. But I think that fed into my apathy when I became older and
Yeah.
really started to get a bit fixated on race and racism and the Iraq War. The second Iraq War happened. That had a massive impact on my
Mhm.
sense of justice and fairness in the world. And so it just kept getting worse, quite frankly. And
Mhm.
then I had the point where I had the breakdown, you see, and that's where I actually got into what was legitimate clinical depression. You see,
Yeah.
the only way I can describe that is, sometimes people say I'm when they're sad or something, they say I'm depressed. I mean, depression is. I wouldn't wish depression on my worst enemy. Like really.
Yeah.
It's lonely, it's dark, it's literally got no bottom, you
Yeah.
know? Because sometimes you think that you've had your worst day and there's no way it could be any worse.
That's correct.
And then 2 years later or a year later, those other days actually seem like happier days, you
Yeah.
know? It's oh man, I couldn't describe it in words.
Mhm.
All I can say is by whatever miracle,
Mhm.
I found the way out. And it was, as I said earlier, when I woke up that day and I went and said to my mom, I'm not well. So she decided
Mhm.
that, we need to get a second opinion. And so what happened is we went and found a private psychiatrist.
Yeah.
And the best £600 I ever spent in my life
Mhm.
because that money changed everything, and in fact, it was for the change it brought to my life, it was 2p or less. I'm in UK, so we say pennies, in America
Yeah.
they say cents, it was 2 cents.
Mhm.
It was, oh man, that life changed anything. I got put on a different medication. I got the diagnosis that seemed to match. Okay. Because the thing about mental health is it's not an exact science.
Mhm.
Um, Different clinicians will give different impressions or diagnosis of what they think. That's
Mhm.
why, so you can be on a drug that's not particularly right for you. And
Right.
that very same drug will work on someone else for what has been classed as the same condition. And
Mhm.
that's why I said you have to advocate for yourself. And sometimes people are just given a drug. You take it for 4 years. You don't go to drug reviews, medication reviews, and things like that. Or some people stop. You know, my psychiatrist said, Raleigh, this is for life. You take it. And I tell you, I love my children, so I take it. It's as simple as that.
It's that you chose life, and we are glad that you did.
Mm.
You're a courageous soul. I'm grateful to know you. Thank you for your life, and thank you for the example that you're setting for others. You see, depression doesn't always look like sadness, right? Sometimes, like you describe, it looks like numbness, irritability, withdrawal, or exhaustion. What were some moments when you realized something wasn't right, even if you didn't yet have the language for it?
No, I mean, listen, my blessing from God is the ability of expression. So I'm never lost for words or
Absolutely, it's
like
very evident.
I could always articulate
Yeah,
in language what I was feeling.
correct.
So that's never the issue. The
Yeah,
issue was feeling it, you
yeah,
know?
yeah.
Um and so like when you say when did I know there was a problem?
Mm-hmm,
Well, I think the thing is because for me, as I said, it
mm-hmm,
was a very dramatic event that where my mental health breakdown started. So it was very clear. It wasn't like an insidious phenomenon,
mm-hmm.
like let's say someone who is by all accounts going through their life and then all of a sudden they don't want to leave the house anymore,
Yeah,
or they're not enjoying their football or their films, because that's what you hear with some people. For me, it wasn't gradual, it was extremely
mm,
dramatic and instantaneous. So yeah, yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Thank you for describing and for going so deep. We understand, we know it could be very uncomfortable for you
Mm,
to reveal your truth. And we're so grateful that you are sharing such intimate details about your trauma experience so
mm,
that men out there can get the help that they need
mm.
right now.
Well, thank you, and thank you for saying it in that way.
Mm-hmm.
And ultimately, that's the point. Like you said, we say it about initially a legacy. And one thing that I definitely want people to be comfortable about is comfortable speaking. Because um this this is it's it's not as easy as I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, I understand. I
I'm
understand.
very comfortable on the camera and speaking and things like that.
Yes, of course.
So I can absolutely understand people's hesitation or
Yeah.
maybe total reluctance,
Mm-hmm.
but that's the point. That's why I'm doing it.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
yeah.
Thank you
Mm,
for being a brave, a courageous soul. And the world definitely needs more people like you for sure.
mm,
Right? So thank you.
yeah.
So for many men, and you're showing up in a very brilliant way for all the gentlemen out there, thinking about if you can think about the lives that you may be saving right now,
Mm,
those who are listening.
mm.
All right.
And yeah,
So,
and I mean ultimately, really the message for me is yeah, I know I'm doing it on camera,
yeah,
but like I did with my mom, this is now it's probably 4 years ago now.
yeah,
So that was the conversation.
mhm,
This what I'm doing is advocacy, right?
yeah, yeah.
But what I want people to know is that, feel comfortable finding someone you trust and get help.
Get the help that you need. I can't re-emphasize that enough. For many men, thank you so much, Ambassador. For many men, the turning point comes quietly, not in crisis, but in awareness. What helped you, Ambassador Raleigh, begin the journey towards healing? Was there a moment, a person, or an internal realization that shifted something for you? I know you had the amazing help from your parents, and but outside of that, what actually caused that transition towards healing?
Listen, Saskia, Ambassador Saskia, I'm going to be dramatically honest.
Yes,
Okay.
we want it to be.
I when I realized that, I meant it. I really I you know, I think it's about a year ago. I actually got really scared because I have turned my life around. Okay.
Mhm,
And I have a future that's brighter than I can imagine in possibility.
mhm,
And so I think that it struck me that I might not have been here. Like it really did. And I realized that, man, because what they say is people actually want to take their own lives. They don't sing and dance about it, you know? To an extent, if someone's doing that, they're actually asking for help. You know, it's a way of asking for help. People want to take their lives, they'll act in secret. And I realized that's what I was doing. I changed my will twice.
mhm,
And I contemplated constantly methods and things like that. But I was scared of some things and not willing to do other things until I found what I felt was an appropriate method. And I remember there was one evening I just felt as miserable as I could be. And I literally had an existential thought that life does not make any sense if I feel like this. There's absolutely no point of being alive if this is how it feels or the experience of it. It was like a rational thought.
mhm.
And I say to myself that if I felt like this tomorrow morning, and then I was going to take whatever actions I had decided to take. And that's why I'm saying the miracle is I woke up feeling different.
So glad.
And so, you know, I don't, I was raised in church, so, but I had a time in my life where I, and I started to question God and things like that. But as a rational thinker, which I like to say that I am,
Yeah.
for me, the only thing that makes sense is that there was an external intervention because there wasn't anything within my control that I did.
Yes.
You see?
Yeah. And that was God's grace.
Yeah,
That was God's grace showing
yeah,
up in the situation, and
yeah,
so eternally grateful for that.
yeah.
Yeah.
Indeed, I know there are all people with all kinds of beliefs out there, atheists or whatever. And I'm not saying this to compel anyone to say, believe in God. I'm just saying that that's the only thing I can point to. Whether you want to call it whatever name you want to give it,
Mhm.
but that's just what happened. That's just as simple as that.
That's right.
You know, I just woke up and it felt different, and I wanted to live. I just wanted to live.
You chose
And
life.
so that was that. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know?
God gave you the
So,
grace to stay
yeah.
here with us so that you can have conversations,
Mm,
freeing conversations like this.
yeah.
Help others, not only
Mm,
to free yourself, but to help others. So healing is indeed not linear, right? It's not a linear progression. And resilience isn't about bouncing forward, bouncing back, like some people say, right? It's about learning how to live differently. Now, what does resilience mean to you now compared to how you understood it before your mental health journey,
yeah.
Ambassador?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I thought that being resilient meant being tough. because I have a physically strong body. I have
Yes.
incredible will. I've always been an able person. I was good at school and all these kind of things. So I was just able. So it's also for me, resilience was some phenomenon to do with me and being tough and being durable and I'm being indestructible so I can keep going, like a Duracell bunny or something.
Yes. So,
But what I learned about endurance, or resilience, is that actually resilience is keeping going when
yes.
you're literally on empty, you know,
Yes.
when everything seems to not be working.
Hmm. Yeah. It's showing up with
And
endurance,
yeah,
perseverance, and grit all combined.
yeah, yeah, when everything seems to be going against you,
Hmm.
you think that you've had every crisis you could possibly have, and anything else is absolutely ludicrous, and
Yes.
it happens anyway. And you think you've hit rock bottom, and it's only the beginning of a new rock bottom, you
Mhm.
know, but somehow, you just keep going, and you don't lose faith, and so it's a completely different outlook, and actually inside of that, what you realize is that your potential is limitless because it's got nothing to do with what you can master and what you can will. It's just about the realities you're facing, and just having the wherewithal to find a way, essentially. you
I love
know
the statement. It says everything. Yep. So men, thank you for that. Men often ask, how do I heal without losing who I am?
yeah, I mean, what does that even mean, like who I am?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
it's it's
What practices? I mean, they probably mean the masculinity and having,
yeah, I
showing
mean, I get that. it
vulnerability
was
in
a
this, right?
it was a it was a it was a rhetorical, ironic question kind of thing.
Yes,
And
yes,
it goes back to what we've been talking about, which is the same thing, which is the conditioning, right? Because if
yes.
you've modeled yourself as this man who is big, strong, I don't cry, whatever you want to talk about, right? And that's who you are, right? And because remember, who I mean, that's too abstract, so I probably won't even go there. But who you are is an invention anyway, right? It's an absolute invention. It's a coincidence. It's not even a real thing, or whoever you say you are, you
Mhm.
know. So how do you? So what's the question again?
Yeah, so that was just a lead in to the
Yeah,
question. The
yeah, no, I
question
get that
really
because
was
I want
what
to. I want to.
practices, yes. The question was what practices, I'm now saying what the question is, what practices, boundaries, or supports help you to stay mentally and emotionally grounded today?
I see. Yeah, no, I just want to see the part about, losing who you are.
Yeah.
But who you are is a constant evolution, right? So you really don't want to be who you were when you were 20, you know. Hopefully you become a more enhanced version of yourself when you're 40 or
Oh,
50.
mhm.
So that's the answer with that. So you don't even be scared of that. Actually encourage discovering a new you every day, every second, in a
Reinvent.
positive way, you
Mhm.
know? And then what was this one about coping strategies, was it?
Yes, it's about practices, boundaries, or supports, any coping mechanisms that may help you stay emotionally and mentally grounded today.
It's true. I definitely think spirituality, because um the thing about it is, there's so many broad beliefs. So if I say this particular faith,
Yeah.
I don't want to antagonize or separate myself from anyone. But what I would say is having a broader appreciation of what life is, right? This is where it's a really transient thing. 40, 50, 70, 80 years old, 10 years old, then we're gone. right? So for me, what's really been the grace is, and what God gave me is the realization that, there's something temporary
Mhm.
about my being here.
Yeah.
So so my inquiry expanded into
Mhm.
to so what is the greater purpose? That's what works for me. Um, and then love, pursuing love for me. Um, sleep is one thing that I need to work on, definitely, but
Always.
it's got
Mhm.
profound benefits.
Mhm.
Resting, you know,
Yeah.
um, and avoiding stress, really avoiding stress, avoiding conflict, reading. Some people say, read something positive, you know,
Mhm.
um,
Yep.
it's something beautiful,
Yep.
and then appreciate life, like really start to become a master observer of reality, because if you do have those epiphanies of realizing how extraordinary our existence is,
Yeah.
that's so liberating. It
Yeah.
really is, you know.
Yeah. Yes. I agree with you. It all has to start with mindset transformation.
Yeah,
That
absolutely.
that is the fuel of resilience. So you're
Yeah.
absolutely right. And so, besides being on our amazing show today, and thank you for being an outstanding, extraordinary guest on the Resilient Power TV show. But in addition to just showing up here today, how do you use your story to support other men who may be struggling silently outside of
Mm,
making a show appearance?
mm. Yeah, this is definitely a start. But I'm generally someone that people talk to, you know.
Yeah,
I've always
it's that.
been,
Hmm.
I've since I was young, I just found that people confide in me, you
Hmm.
know. So I think that those intimate, private conversations that you can have with strangers, colleagues, anyone, just be a space, and like a responsible space.
Yes.
Not like, what are you dealing with? That person was stupid. Why did you let them do that to you? That kind of stuff. It doesn't build.
Yeah.
Like it's just really responsibly listening to what people are going through, and then having a compassionate listening ear. That's just on the personal level, but certainly on a broader scale,
Mhm.
this is so, especially after this. Thank you so much. I am so grateful. But I found another strand to my purpose and my calling this evening. Thank you so
Yes.
much.
You've been excellent, and we appreciate your authenticity, your
Mm,
transparency, your vulnerability. And I know that you're going to go amazing places because you are
Thank you
prepared.
so
The
much.
journey prepared you.
Mm,
And we know with courage and all the tool sets to make an impact in the lives of other gentlemen out there, and for you to have your internal healing as well. So with that, because being an engineer, I not only like to really present a problem, but also solution. And so solution to all that you've heard from brilliantly from the Ambassador Raleigh in terms of his lived experience, we cover that in terms of men's mental health and resilience with Dr. India Caldwell Cox. So I will be actually, we at BoostThru will be um, re-airing that session with Dr. India after we play, after we air the session today with Ambassador Raleigh. So please tune in for that, all you gentlemen out there. We really need to pay attention to this. So, really, Raleigh, thank you so much. Your willingness to speak openly reminds us that men don't need fixing. What they need is space, they need permission, and they need support, right? So, I have to say this to everyone watching: your pain is valid. All the gentlemen out there, your pain is valid. Your emotions are human. And asking for help is not failure. It is true leadership. Raleigh,
Yeah.
Ambassador Raleigh, I want to thank you. Thank you for your courage. Thank you for your voice. And thank you for your service, not just as an ambassador, but as a man committed to healing and hope. And that's important.
Wow.
This has been the Resilient Power TV show, where resilience is not about pretending, but about becoming whole. Until next time, Honorable Dr. Saskia Christian speaking. Have an amazing day. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you. Bye-bye.